and welcome to 9-inch Charge. Well, 2021 is almost over, and I think that will come as a bit of a relief to some people who have spent quite a lot of time in lockdown over the last 12 months. And I think there are people who, when they look back on this year, will think of it as a year that things were delayed quite a lot, especially thinking about the dragons and stuff like that. But actually, there's been an awful lot of hobby brought out in the last 12 months for Age of Sigmar. We're looking at 7 Battletomes, 7 Underworlds warbands, a brand new addition to the game, 5 god-sized models, Cursed City, new additions of Underworlds. It's just, there's actually been loads. So we're going to go through month by month, look at absolutely everything that's been released, and pick out our highlights. Just before we begin, please check out the charity raffle, link in the description. Loads of cool prizes to be won, including a Start Collecting Box of your choice, various miniatures, rules for a skirmish game, and a spot on one of our Hobby Hangouts. All proceeds go to children with a locked-in diagnosis at the New Sibling School. Tickets start from £5 and winners will be announced Christmas Day. Prizes shipped internationally. The first AOS release of 2021, it's all the way back in the 6th of February. It was KHAGRA'S REAVERS, a Slaves to Darkness warband for Warhammer Underworlds. And they look fantastic. This guy on the right here's got a bit of slambo going on. Really cool release. I really like the cloaks, and something that actually we've seen quite a lot of from Games Workshop, these weathered looking cloaks that are really cool now. Just something that you're able to do with plastics that you weren't able to do when I started in the hobby. I think they remind me a bit of Abdon and his cloak, really. And not too long after that, in February, we had the HEDONITES of SLAANESH Mortals come out. And who can forget the release of Sigvald the Magnificent? Really cool sculpt. Bit of a strange expression on his face, if we're honest. But really amazing. And some absolutely fantastic paint jobs of this guy done in non-metallic metal and doing all of the different reflections in his shield and things like that. Absolutely fantastic. And who can forget the kit for Glottos pictured here? I mean, just absolutely fantastic. The marble veins that the heavy metal painted in, just really fantastic. I can remember looking at this model and thinking, I don't even know how I would assemble it, let alone paint it. So it's great to see some fantastic work done on this one as well. Before the end of February, we saw a new battle tome as well for Daughters of KHAINE, and that came with brand new endless spells, including this one with the Heart of KHAINE and the cool snake-like one. Very cool release. Actually, some of the nicest endless spells that they've done. These endless spells, I don't think they're made in-house by Games Workshop. I think they're made in China and imported in, and the quality of the sculpts can be noticeably less than their normal stuff, but these, spot on, really nice. So that takes us into March, where we had the STARBLOOD STALKERS. Really love the chameleon skink in this. Lots of really cool expressions, actually, and it's difficult to make dinosaurs and lizards and non-humanoid things look as expressive as they do without coming across too cartoony, and I think they got the balance just right there. That was the only release in March for us there. And then in April, Broken Realms Tech List came out onto the scene with a brand new wave of Lumineth and an updated Lumineth Battle Tome that came with all kinds of cool models like the Lore Seeker and the Shrine Luminor. Let us not forget Severith, Lord of the Seventh Wind, that can also be assembled as a Hurricane Spirit of the Seventh Wind. But I mean, what a model. Just absolutely phenomenal. I think this took plastic to another level. It's kind of like, for me, it's a bit like the Celestin Prime Plus. And you can really feel the wind swirling around in this model. So much motion in it. Absolutely fantastic. I was so blown away by that. 1 week later, on the 10th of April, we got Cursed City. Loads of hype around this. Really fantastic game. I've played it a few times with my mate Chris, and we always have a blast playing it. Lots of really cool, individual, unique looking hero models. I picked up Colathus the Exile for myself because I love the Kanothi. I think this is a time where Games Workshop got supply and demand a bit wrong. There was quite a limited run of these and they're really popular and they sold out straight away, and then there were some on eBay and they weren't making any more. So this was in some ways a bit of a letdown for quite a few people. But on its own, a great box, great models, lots of fun, and a really cool death aesthetic, and something that we'll see later on when the Soulblight Gravelords appear. Next we had the Warhammer Underworlds warband, the Crimson Court. Still my favourite Warhammer Underworlds warband. Just so amazing. These guys just look nasty, don't they? You definitely don't want to come across them in a darkened alley or something like that, that's for sure. This guy on the right is so imposing. To round out April, we got Broken Realms Be'lakor and a brand new model for Be'lakor himself. I had the privilege of being able to paint one of these for a commission. As I say, it was a privilege. It was really enjoyable to paint. Loved every minute of it. Fantastic model. Nightmare to play against on the battlefield as well. Really cool. Okay, so May. We're only in May. May saw HEDONITES Mad Mob, a Warhammer Underworlds warband for Beastgrave come out. Really cool. Love the Shaman. I really like these when they came out. Nice to see an old-fashioned orky aesthetic from Games Workshop redone in this new light. And then we saw the Soulblight Gravelords. Oh my goodness, was this such a phenomenal release. Especially for someone like me who's been in the hobby a long time. And, you know, the Blood Knights have been long gone. People were trying to convert them out of Dragon Princes. And then the Dragon Princes were long gone. And finally, we got brand new Blood Knights, brand new Skeleton Warriors, brand new Zombies, Fell Bats, all these heroes. Just really phenomenal release. Absolutely blew me away. The standout for me personally was the Zombies. I had one of the old kits of Zombies, and they were definitely... These guys came out, some of them buried in shallow graves, picking up the tombstones from on top of them, others in shackles, roots growing out of them. Absolutely love them to bits. And they kind of walk in a kind of shambly kind of way as well. They're not all stood up and just regimented in uniform. They really look like a shambling horde of zombies. Just the best zombies I've ever seen. And I can't go on about them enough, really. The second half of this release saw the new White King on Skeletal Steed, a slew of new heroes, dire wolves and Radicar's Court released from Warhammer Cursed City as a standalone box that you can buy and put into your Soulblight Gravelords army. And finally, to round out the month, we had KHAINE's Reapers for Warhammer Underworlds, the Ossiarch Bone Reapers warband, and KHAINE himself, massive and imposing figure, really cool model, and our first look at a Mortech Guard Archer, something that I hope we see more of in the past when we come to revisit Ossiarch Bone Reapers and when they get a new battle tome in the future. In June, Broken Realms KHAGRA'S dropped, and it was a month for just amazing standalone miniatures. You know, I could just make a whole video about each single one of these releases. It was so phenomenal. So firstly, we had KHAGRA'S himself, the End of Empires, the God of Earthquakes. Really phenomenal. Great to see him back, trapped under the beast grave for ages and ages, literal ages, coming back to be a brand new god for destruction. Then we got Galen and Deloria Vendence, a father-daughter duo of witch hunters fighting to cleanse the mortal realms and the cities of Sigmar from all manner of taint, be it endless spell, undead, or demon. Croak came out absolutely amazing inside this kind of gyroscopic sphere. The paint job on it really blew me away with the light and the shadows. Loads of people doing fantastic jobs on this model. Great to see him come back. A real character all the way through Age of Sigmar and all the way from back in the world that was. The most ancient Slann in the Seraphon army. His mummified remains just as powerful or even more so than any Slann living today. We had the newborn of SLAANESH, two brand new Keeper of Secrets style demons. One a real cool consummate wizard and one more combat orientated. Both escaped SLAANESH's prison when Morathi became a goddess, and they've now taken form in the mortal realms to wreak some havoc. Both very imposing, both great centerpiece models. Next we had the Warsong Revenant for the Sylvaneth. Really cool model, nice to see more Revenants. I think, to be honest, they've gone as far as they can with the kind of tree woodland dryad tree man aspect, so cool to see them expanding the Revenants a bit. And also what's great about him is that he actually plays really well as part of a Sylvaneth army, definitely worth taking. And lastly in June, but by no means least, we had Elethane's Soul Raid, and everybody's contender for best model of 2021, the awesome Crab himself. On rolled July, and down on a thunderbolt came a brand new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar and the Dominion box set. Cool rulebook, General's Handbook. Really incredible box. And what was cool about this box as well is that Games Workshop got it exactly right with the amount that they produced. There was plenty to go around for everyone, so no one missed out. It was our first look at this brand new range of Stormcast in their Thunderstrike armor, and of course the first time that we got to see the awesome looking Cruel Boys faction, the Auric War Clans. This is by far and away the slickest, best rule set for Age of Sigmar. It's definitely the best edition to play, the most interactive, and oh boy did these models really deliver as well. I can still remember the first games I played of this down in Curtin Games, up in their War Games loft with my mates. Just one of those really special times where lockdown had just about eased enough that we could get a game in, and Curtin were really great with social distancing and screens between tables and things like that. And just a really good respite in the middle of what had been a really tough year. And it just goes to show how important this hobby and the community are for us, really, for our own well-being. And just on the last day of the month, squeezed in, we had the introduction of the Realmscape Expanse. An unusual piece of terrain because it doesn't show old crumbly ruins. Well, it does, but it shows brand new buildings being built on top of those and shows the Dawnbringer Crusades going out into the Chaos Waste and building something brand new in the Mortal Realms, which was really exciting for me. We haven't seen anything of the Dawnbringer Crusades yet other than this terrain kit, but I'm really hopeful that next year is the year. First release of September was Arena Mortis Diachasm, a new update for Warhammer Underworld that gave you cool new rules for your companions and followers, and the ability to make Doomclaw the Crab the centerpiece of the Idoneth Warband and a real wrecking machine, which is what we always wanted all along. Towards the end of the month, the Battletomes dropped, the new Stormcast Eternals Battletome and the new Crawlboys Battletome, and the second wave of miniatures came out, including the Stormcast Chariot and the Beast Skewer Killbow and all those kinds of things. And who can forget the Marshcrawler Sloggoth, great model. And carrying on the theme of Stormcast versus Crawlboys, the new edition of Warhammer Underworld's Harrowdeep was released with a Stormcast and Crawlboys warbands set in a dungeon beneath the Sea of Orgu, the Realm of Shadow. This setting in the Realm of Shadow got me really excited because for a long time I've wanted to see Malarian and his Shadow Elves come out as a counterpart to the Lumineth Realm Lords, and that we're moving towards the Realm of Shadow here is a great indication that we might see these, because we moved into the realm of beasts before with the Beastgrave, and then we saw Kragnos and all those kinds of things come out in Age of Sigmar, and the narrative of these two games is definitely tied together, so fingers crossed for that. And the end of October was rounded out by yet another release of Stormcast and Crawlboys featuring Bastion Carthalos, the man himself, the Vigilors, my favourite Stormcast models ever, and the Manskewer Bolt Boys and the Hobgrot Slitters. Up until November, we're nearly there. Red Harvest, a new box for Warhammer Warcry, came out with the Varanite Mine Terrain, which was really phenomenal, and the Tarantulas Brood and the Dark Oath Savages. To my mind, easily hands down some of the best terrain Games Workshop's ever made. Really cool miniatures as well. The Tarantulas Brood especially grabbed me because they've been in the Varanite, which is really corrosive and chaotic, and if you come into contact with it, it will give you all kinds of weird and different deformations. It may create, turn your arms or limbs into cavernous jaws that then devour your whole body, but it's a bit of potluck, and the Broodmaster has managed to gain extra limbs so he can fight with extra swords, and they're just very cool looking models. And Helga Clovenhorn was released. Now, she's an aspiring champion for the Slaves to Darkness, and she was supposed to be a 2021 event miniature, but because not many events occurred in 2021, she was released in full to the public, so people had a chance to buy her. And I think it's really nice of Games Workshop to do this, because these kinds of models that are on a limited run are difficult to get, and it's been a tough year for everyone, so it's nice that they're offered out to everyone like this. And now we're into December, finally, and it, of course, is all about dragons. The dragons are finally released after quite a long delay. We have them, we've got Krondis, we've got Karazai, and we've got the Knight Draconis and the Stormdrake Guard. They're all here. They're all about to absolutely demolish your armies on the tabletop, or if you're taking them, you're about to crush your opponents into oblivion. So enjoy yourself before the FAQ comes out. They've already been revised, actually, in terms of their points. They're just great models. There was so much hype around these. It was such a shame they got delayed, but I'm really happy for the community and really happy for Games Workshop that they were able to get them out just in time for Christmas. Of course, we do have all the Christmas box sets, but I'm not going to talk about the Battle Forces because they're not new kits as such, they're repackages, so I'm going to skip over those and go to our very last release, which is the Maggotkin of Nurgle Battletome and the Rotbringer Sorcerer. There are some dice and things like that to go with the book, but it's a little bit underwhelming in terms of its release compared to some of the other things that we've seen, because there aren't lots of brand new models and there are no new endless spells. But having said that, this range is fantastic on its own and stands up really well, and it'll be great to see some new life breathed into them and hopefully see them on the tabletop, because they can be, for an army that's sort of centered around death and decay, they're really bright and vibrant and they're just a great aesthetic, really cool army, so hope to see these. Okay, so that is every single brand new release that came out in 2021. As I said in the beginning, we think about this year as being a year of delays and not necessarily getting what we want when we want it, but actually I hope that now that we've come to the end of this video, you will agree with me that actually we got an awful lot given to us this year and we are really lucky in the hobby. Loads and loads of cool stuff, and long may it continue into 2022. Let me know in the comments what your favourite release was. Let me know if there was anything in particular you were really waiting for or you weren't expecting, and when it dropped it meant so much to you. As I said, to me, I think really it was just the new edition and being able out of lockdown to see my mates again and roll some dice. That was just a really important part of the year for me. Thank you very much for watching. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. I've been 9 Inch Charge and I will catch you next time.